We're good. Okay.
Welcome.
Wow, that was great, Valerie.
I did such a good job last week, so
I did a better job. Because remember that I said the thing.
You did. You did it very seamlessly.
Yes, very seamlessly. I've never heard those two words together. Well, folks, thank you for joining us on Wholehearted Living. I'm Benny.
I'm Valerie.
And this is the podcast where
one of us comes with a subject that the other one has no idea what we're going to chat about. And then we hopefully chat about it in a way that it will bring you to living a wholehearted kind of life.
Yeah, that's our goal. Iggy, thank you for being here.
Hello.
And keeping us in sound.
Keeping us in sound. This is our technical term.
It is.
Yes. So we heard all about Iggy's engagement last week and our Big Bear trip. Mm-hmm. And so this week, Valerie, what are you going to talk about?
Do you want to talk about my dog?
Yes.
We finally got my dog spayed.
Yeah.
Because if you guys remember the podcast many months ago during the summer, I took her in to get spayed. And they called me as I got off the freeway. It's like a 30-minute drive. And they called me as soon as I got off the freeway and said, you need to come back and get her because she has what is called a juvenile vulva.
Oh.
Do you remember this whole subject back then?
Not really.
Anyway, it's kind of like it was encased in skin, if you will. So they said,
I will.
If you do it now, she will be very susceptible to UTIs. And I said, no, I don't want her to do that. Then they said, you wait for her first heat and things, she becomes mature. So it's not juvenile anymore, I guess. And that's exactly what happened. She had her first heat and...
Yeah, but then you just told us right now that because she had her first heat, they charged you more.
Yeah, so here's the story. But let me explain this part real quick, just so I don't leave
I think my part was more fun.
So after the first heat, she gets very swollen down there, and then the skin pulls back. So now it's not.
This is all pleasant conversation.
Susceptible to UTIs. Okay, so she's ready to go. That was what 2 or 3 months ago that we were talking about her being in heat.
Right.
So when I take her in today to get her spayed, they call me she's ready. Surgery went well, but when the doctor went in, they found out that she was in heat. So it's going to be an extra $65 because her uterus was swollen. I'm like, how is she still in heat? That was like,
even if she is, I still don't get why it's more money. It's just a way to make more money. Because
they have to work around a swollen uterus, I guess. I don't know. It's weird. You're right. It is. It is.
Doesn't.
It's
the
same
understand.
Surgery, right?
It doesn't. Yeah.
But anyway, she's at home, kind of groggy. Did not like the cone, so we bought one of those little onesies.
See, that's new to me. We didn't have that. And our dog was like a tiny. Well, we had a medium-sized dog, but they had a cone. She had a cone the size of New Mexico. So it was like whenever she walked, it was like bam, bam, bam.
Well, I was so surprised because Coco had a cone for something one time, and it was really big. This one, she came out and I'm like, oh my God, it's such a cute little cone. It was so cute. I don't think she would have bammed into anything, but she did not like it.
God, our dog ran into every single thing. It was the most ridiculous thing. She couldn't even go upstairs without hitting it. Like her head would just constantly boink. It was the funniest thing ever. As sad as it is, it also makes you laugh.
It's funny, yeah.
It's really good for videos.
But the interesting thing is she moaned all the way home. She moaned as soon as I put her in her bed. I go, okay, you know what? Let's take this cone off. Thankfully, we already had stuff to help her with because she immediately went down to go start licking her incision. So I was like, no. Put this little onesie thing on, which is fascinating. She cannot get to it. And she doesn't have the cone of shame on. And
even without scratching, she can't scratch the onesie, or she doesn't try to.
Well, she could, but she could do that with a cone.
I guess she could do that with a cone too.
Yeah,
that's true.
So she seems to be, Peter just texted and said she seems fine, but she does look, like you said, the groggy eyes.
Yeah. So, well, she was medicated, right? I mean, they put her
anesthesia.
out.
Yeah. And they said today, it doesn't seem like it was going to be very long. I didn't ask, but took her
How long were you there?
I came home. I dropped her off I got her there at 8:30. Didn't leave there till 10 because it took forever to get her in and situated. And then they called me at
paperwork.
1. Yeah.
And she's a dog. Filling out paperwork would be very difficult.
She couldn't do it, so I had to. So anyway, I came all the way home because they said, we'll call you between 1 and 4. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to, this is in Norwalk. It's 30 minutes away from us. So came home and they called at 1, said she's ready. So I got there at 2 and yeah.
Wow.
So she wasn't under anesthesia that whole time.
Yeah, but still, she looked like she was under anesthesia when
groggy.
you just showed me that picture. I mean, she was gone for a while, for sure.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't mind being gone for a while. You did self-care last week, so maybe that's...
Maybe we need to be put under anesthesia.
Everybody needs anesthesia for a little bit, right? Well, for me, I am in my 7th week of school. I'm 3 more weeks away from being done with... We actually finally made a decision. Patty made a decision. I made a decision. We made a decision. Did I already say thank you, Iggy, for being our town guy?
Town guy?
Town guy? Sorry.
Thank you, Iggy, for being our town guy.
Oh, we
yes,
already
you
did. All right. Well, then could you stop dominating all the time, Iggy? Okay. So,
I want to know, Patty made a decision. You made a decision. We made a decision.
So I've been very excited about the fact that in January through March, that's the end of my school where I do internship just to complete my hours.
March is my birthday.
Yeah. Well, we're focused on me right now.
Sorry.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
So the thing is that for 3 months, it was just going to be internship, no classes. And so I was so excited. And then I mentioned to Patty and to Stephanie, who's also an MFT, I said, well, I'm 1 class away from getting a certificate in addiction. And they both were like, oh my God, you got to get that addiction certificate. And I was like, oh, I don't want to. I don't want to take another class. I'm done. Well, the long story short is I talked to the powers that be and I basically said, what advantage is there of this? And I'm going to make a very long story short and say there really isn't an advantage because it's not something that's state recognized. It's only recognized by... Like, I mean, it is something I could put on my LinkedIn profile or something like that. But the truth of the matter is that most people, it's not even like that's my focus. I don't want addiction to be my focus.
Right.
The only reason why I went that direction is because California requires extra classes that, and so I thought, well, instead of just being random, I'm going to just stay along a certain track.
Sure.
And so it ended up being addiction. And I do like I actually like working with families who have dealt with addiction. It's not necessarily the case that I want to be an expert on just individuals who are dealing with addiction. So I wouldn't mind working with families who have had to deal with stuff and then, hopefully move them into a healthy place. But anyway, all that to say, I was like, I think Patty and I decided that I'm not going to take the class.
Oh, so you will just be doing...
So I will just be doing an internship.
if it's not a benefit, if the person...
that's the thing. And then it's going to cost me a lot of money to make
Right.
it happen. And it really isn't a very big benefit. And the truth is that I could still say I have a lot of addiction experience and specialty, etc. But anyway, and I could always take the class if I wanted to one day. But honestly, that's the other thing. There is a class that I wouldn't mind taking, but it wouldn't qualify for me to get it. There's only 1 class I can take, and it's like the same thing that I've already taken 1,000 times. And so it's kind of like, why am I going to take it again? I'm not even sure I'm going to learn all that much. So anyway, I am very excited that I have basically 3 more projects because I finished 1. I have 3 more large projects, and then I'm done with the academic portion of school. Awesome. That's a very big deal. So been doing this for a long time now. When did we start the podcast, Iggy? It's been a while. So I was in my MFT.
The first time recording?
Yeah.
It was April last year.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
April of 2023. So
like a year and a half-ish.
It's a year and a half-ish, and I started the school, I think, a year before that, or 9 months before that. So it's like, this is a stupid long time to go to school. I guess I went to school for 12 years, so that's a different story. But you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you listened to last week, you're probably saying, you might listen to this and say, why are you bringing this up? Well, we just talked about this, but we're not. I'm going to bring up a new subject.
I love how we're kind of sometimes always on the same page.
I know, it's really weird. When you started talking about it, I was like, oh my gosh, you're irritating me right now because if you guys don't know, we record 2 on one day, and I was like, I can't believe that you're bringing up my subject. But anyway, what I wanted to talk about, and it is different. It is a different podcast, so it's not like 100% the same. But here's my question to you. As you know, I like to give you a question that irritates you. Yeah. So what do you need to say no to? Isn't that an interesting question?
That is. Wait, what do you mean? What do I need to say no to? What do I need to say no to?
Yeah.
I need to say no to things that I don't feel like I'm 100% in.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Well, that's one thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is for sure one thing. So I listed a bunch of stuff, but keep going.
Well, what I was going to say was if you listen to last week's podcast, the old version of Valerie would have said yes to almost everything because I never wanted to say no to things. I always wanted to people please. I always wanted to I wanted people to think that I'm always available to help them or do whatever. And now I'm at the point in my life where I don't necessarily say no right away, but I'm like, it's not a yes. It's like, I need to think about this. I need to
Well, I think there's another thing that's interesting is it's not just about, well, I agree with you. What you just said is absolutely true. Sometimes we just need to be able to do what you just said. I think the other reason why people don't like to say no is because they're afraid they won't be asked again. Like, in other words, we feel value in being asked.
Okay.
So in other words, if I'm, like in your case, if you guys didn't listen yet, you can listen to last week's podcast, but Valerie was talking about being asked to work with special needs kids in Sunday school at her church. And why and we don't need to go into why she's just, what's going on with her decision. But the thing is that sometimes we like to be, everybody likes to be appreciated. Everybody likes to be like valued. And so when you're asked to do something, it's like, if I say no to this, it's because of the way I am right now. It's because of my current circumstances, but maybe in 6 months I'll be open, and I don't want you not to say, not to invite me again.
Yeah, because it does feel good to be asked.
Yeah, it absolutely feels good to be asked. It feels like, wow, they value me. They think I have something to offer. And so it's easy for someone to say, well, then I have to say yes, because if I say no, then maybe they'll never ask again. It's over.
Yeah.
And so there's a whole mindset that people might have is, well, and this can happen with people even on a high echelon, like people, actors, and
saying yes
speakers.
to all the movies that they're
they have to say yes to every single movie, because if I don't say yes to this one, then I'm never going to be offered another one.
True.
Or a professional speaker might be asked to speak in a convention that they really don't agree with. Maybe they don't like the convention, or maybe they are too busy.
Don't align with whatever. Yeah,
they might not align with it, or maybe they just had one the week before and the one week after, and maybe their kid's birthday is that week. But they say, I have to say yes, because if I don't, I might not be asked again.
Right.
And so there's a mindset that says, I have to say yes to everything, because if I don't, it might minimize the opportunities in the future. And so my little topic is, what do I need to say no to? Because the only way that you can say yes to certain things is if you say no to a lot of other things.
Right.
And that's a key thing is
Do you remember the book Mom used to have? I remember this. She had a book, because Mom always said yes to everything. She took on everything. This is, I think the title was, Why Do I Say Yes When I Want to Say No?
I think you're right. There was a book like that. Yeah. And it is a great subject because, or at least I think it's a great subject because I brought it up.
Because it's your subject. It's your week.
Because I'm amazing. But so Iggy, I'm going to ask you, are there things that
amazing looking? Oh wait, that doesn't work.
Thank you. Woo!
That didn't work.
The point is that if we, have you ever said yes to something that later you went, ugh?
Big Bear.
You better not talk. I know I was going to say, you better not talk about asking my daughter to marry you.
I mean, I feel like there probably is. I just can't think of it. Right now.
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest thing is that one of the reasons why I brought this up is I can't tell you how many times I talk to people about things that they know that they need to be doing. Whether that has to do with self-care, which was last week's topic, or maybe it has to do with, but it just spending more time with friends. I guess that could be looked at as self-care, but they want to spend more time with friends, or they want to spend more time with their family.
Right.
Or they want to actually pursue getting a family, like a single person. Or a married person who's saying, I don't spend enough time with my wife. And the answer that I hear is, we just don't have enough time. And my thought is, that's bullcrap.
Yeah.
Everybody has enough time.
Right.
What you're saying is that
I'm not making. Oh, no, go ahead.
Go ahead.
What?
Wow, Valerie, that's profound.
like
Everybody, let's ponder that for a while.
I feel like I had a frog in my throat for a second.
Yeah.
No, but I feel like with anything, you have to prioritize and you have to make the time. And so, and if you have if you're juggling too many things, one of the things is going to be put on the back burner, but it shouldn't be the thing that's most important to you. You should be delegating. You should be.
Well, saying no. Well, that's my point.
Well, there you go.
You have to say no to
You have to put one of the
things.
plates down.
Yes, exactly. And this is my hard. So, for instance, a lot of people say that they know that they need to exercise. Oh, I need to exercise, but I just don't have the time. And I'm always like, yes, you do. It's just that you're choosing to do other things instead of exercise.
Right.
Now, again, we've talked about this a million times, and this is not about exercise. This is about making time and how does time work. And the truth of the matter is that you are saying yes to a lot of things that are causing you to say no to the other stuff.
Right. And even look, going back, because you're right, this podcast does tie into what we were talking about last week, because you could be doing a lot of things and doing a lot of things, half-assed, if you will, but you could say no to some of those things and have the priority of what really matters to you,
really be
and
embraced
do
and whatever.
Good and great and well.
Last week, so I didn't bring this up. I should have brought it up in our chit chat. I can't believe it.
What?
We had our fantasy football party. And so that's a time when our little fantasy football team gets all together, and we watch games at a sports bar. And I had projects due. And basically I said, I have to say no to other things in order for me to be able to say yes to finishing the project so that I could say yes to going to that sports bar thing.
Right.
It was like, otherwise there was no way for me to be able to attend it. And it was kind of important for me that I attend it. It's when I get to see my nephew, your son. It's when I get to see my niece, your daughter, when I get to see family members, when I get to see people, and it's just fun.
Yeah.
I get to see our cousin.
Right.
And it's just a really, really fun time. And I enjoy doing it. But the truth of the matter is, the only way to make that happen is you have to say no to other things.
Exactly. Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to end up saying no to this, or you're going to say yes to everything. And then later you're going to say, oh my gosh, I'm so stressed. Oh my gosh, I'm so overwhelmed. And so what's interesting is, and maybe this is the crux of the entire podcast, is every time you say yes to something, you're probably saying no to something else. So deciding what you're going to say yes to is super important.
Sure.
And it's kind of like that old, I don't know if you've ever heard of that, like if you're packing a car. Have you ever heard this? When you pack a car, you always pack the big things first. I wish I could do this in illustration. I guess we're on YouTube and I wasn't prepared. Like when we packed
your trunk for Big Bear?
Yeah, exactly. And you guys are all like, oh my God, they came in for Big Bear. We drove together and she says, well, we have a medium-sized bag. And so then all of a sudden she rolls out her medium-sized bag that could have put 3 people in it. I was serious, like, what in the world is this? I said, this is
Patty
medium?
did say the truck could hold 5 bodies, so I figured.
That's how but we were still like, oh my gosh, this is medium to you? What in the world's large? I couldn't believe it. I thought, seriously, you would have to rent your own plane.
We did have a larger one, so that was our medium.
Yeah, no, call the cops. It was all the way up to my breast. It's ridiculous. I couldn't imagine. I seriously was freaking out. I said, really?
It wasn't really that big, my friends.
It was pretty doggone big. but we were able to fit it.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. If you're going to pack a trunk, you have to put the big stuff in first, and then you figure out how to put the little stuff. And the point of life is that you have to put the things that are most important first, and then you could fit in all the fluff.
Yep.
And a lot of people don't do it that way.
Right.
They think, I'm going to say yes to everything. And then all of a sudden, when it comes to exercise, when it comes to time with family, when it comes to church, when it comes to meditation or prayer or walking or whatever it is, it's like, well, I don't have time for that. And that's just because you've said yes to too many things.
Right.
The only way that you can say yes to the things that are absolutely necessary is if you say no to other stuff.
Right. And that's hard to do because I know, like I said, I used to say yes to everything. And I used to take pride in saying, I just have all these things that I'm juggling. And I kind of liked being busy. I liked having stuff to do.
Right.
But along the line, some things were suffering. Are you being the best wife? Are you being the best mother? Are you taking care of yourself? Are you making sure you're self-caring? So you do have to say no to some things. And I think that it takes a lot of maturity and courage to say no to things, because it's very hard to say no.
Right.
And that's why I don't say a hard no right away. Like even with that whole topic of helping out at the church with the special needs children, it's like, I'm not going to say no, but I'm not going to say yes. It's something I really have to think about.
Right.
And I really want to really think about it. But I'm not going to feel guilty coming in saying no if that's what I choose to say.
Right.
I'm not going to just flippantly say no or yes. I need to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the point, though, I guess what it really comes down to is that, when I'm thinking about diario, ¿cómo se dice diario? Daily. When you're daily dealing with something, I'm thinking about our daily lives, and when you're daily dealing with stuff, and I have coaching and therapy with folks who are saying, well, I just don't have enough time to do that. I can't do that. I can't do that. Now I'm going to tell you, some of these folks have legitimately very difficult lives. I mean, it's like, it's interesting when I hear some people say that they have difficult lives, and I go, you have no idea what it's like to be, a single mom with 2 jobs and, this and that and the other. So it's like there are some things, but the truth of the matter is that we have to decide what are the things that are most important to making it so that I could live wholeheartedly, which in fact means that I'm going to be a better mom. I'm going to be a better spouse. I'm going to be a better friend. I'm going to be a better employee. If I'm not able to say yes to those things, then that means that I'm saying too many yeses to things that don't matter.
Right.
And so we have to learn to say no. So I wrote a few things down that we have to say no to. So we have to say no to work. I mean, now some folks out there, you're sitting there thinking, but I want to be really good at my job. Well, be good at your job. But then that means that you're going to have to say no to other things so that you can make sure that you're really good at your job.
Well, some people can't turn work off.
No.
And if you legitimately can turn work off, then you should be turning it off.
Yeah. For 25 years, I didn't turn church off.
Right.
I was horrible at turning church off.
Right.
And I trained my kids not to turn church off. Ashley. And so, I totally made it so that, but I've learned through sobrieties, through a bunch of stuff that, how to turn things off.
Well, and I'm sorry, I know I want to go through your list, but I
it.
think of teachers. I work with teachers who take home a lot of work. They don't have a lot of time in the day to do certain things because they're actually teaching the children. So they take a lot of stuff home. And I was speaking with one of them the other day. She goes, every night my husband's like, are you almost done? I want to watch blah, blah, blah. Or we're going to go see a movie, or we're going to go. And she's just like, almost, if you help me with it. Then he's like, why are you bringing it home? And I understand. I feel bad for teachers because they do a lot.
Elementary teachers are heroes.
Yeah. How are they going to be grading stuff and doing stuff during the day while they're teaching kids? So I get it. But at some point you do have to turn it off, because your priority really should be your husband after you get off work.
That's right.
So anyway.
So that's another subject, right? But being able to turn off work and focus and be present for whatever it is. You have to, this is going to sound funny, sometimes you have to turn off family. Now, because family is usually the priority.
I got in trouble when I turned off family.
Yeah. Well, that's because you were dumb.
Oh.
No, I'm kidding. No, but what I was going to say is sometimes we have to be able to turn off certain things about family so that we can say, I need to take care of myself. And that doesn't mean that we turn them off in the sense that we're not going to do anything for them, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But there are times when you have to set a boundary to say, no, I'm able to do this, but I'm not able to do that.
Yep.
The other thing that is huge, and this is, we've talked about this before, social media. I'm just telling you right now, if you have social media and you're telling me that you don't have enough time, I guarantee you have enough time. If you just got rid of social media, you'd be a happy camper, just right there. So, and if you're saying, well, but that's how I do my business and that's how I do that, well, then set timers for saying, okay, during this hour, I'm going to work on my social media account. And then when I'm done, I'm done.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to keep looking at it every 20 minutes. Right. So that's another thing.
Very true.
Entertainment. So that has to do with any kind of entertainment. Now there's purposeful entertainment, which means I'm going to sit with my wife because we really like watching this particular show and doing this particular thing, and I'm going to do it. And then there's mindless entertainment where we just say, let's just turn on Netflix and see what happens for the next 16 hours.
Right.
So that's one thing. And then it goes all the way down to friends. It goes down to whatever it might be. But there's times when we have to say no in order so that we can say yes. And all of the things that I said, there's nothing wrong with social media, in my opinion, in the sense of just being able to live with it for a brief amount of time. But it's definitely a place where it can be an addiction for people.
Well, and bringing up the exercise thing again, I've seen many people comment on many things, and you can see when somebody is active online, you can see that little thing there. But then they'll say, well, I just don't have time to work out.
Yeah.
Well, you just literally spent 30 minutes. I know you were on the phone for 30
that's
minutes.
30 minutes that you could have worked out.
Yeah.
The other day, because of the nature of my clients, I didn't really have an hour and a half block to work out. So I did this little Apple Fitness thing for 15 minutes. And it was like, I literally just did 15 minutes and that was it. And it was like, I was able to do something. And that's aside from my walks and all that stuff. But, and then another thing is just get up a half hour earlier, folks. And you say, well, I can't get up a half hour early. Yes, you can.
Yeah.
But just go to bed a little bit earlier. Well, I can't go to bed early. Yes, you can. You can. All those things you can do. Yeah. You can seriously do those things. But in order to do them, you have to say no to some things and say yes to the other. The things that are most important.
It's very true.
I think this was an amazing podcast that's going to go down in history as one of the best. Don't
Our
you
next
think,
podcast
Iggy?
will be talking about humility.
What did Gary say?
It's missing one good point.
What's the one good point?
The shoulds in people's lives.
The shoulds. Oh, you mean, see, this is huge. See, this is my father-in-law speaking into us. Do you know what the shoulds are?
The shoulds? Like SHOULD?
Yeah. Is there another one?
No, I'm not sure I'm understanding the word you're saying.
Should.
So, shoulds.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the fact of the matter is that so many people feel obligated to do certain things because they feel like they should.
Yes.
Which has to do with their belief system.
Right.
So their belief system is telling them, oh, but I should do this for my kids. I should do this for my parents. I should do this for my friends. I should do this for work. Instead of kind of renouncing that and saying, no, I don't have to do those things. It's according to your belief system and your values, and really all of a sudden understanding that sometimes some of the things that we believe that are absolutes are not. And we kind of talked about this in other podcasts about belief systems and how belief systems can affect us. But shoulds is a huge thing because so many people feel obligated to do certain things.
Right.
I mean, it could go down to just even any kind of dinner. Well, a dinner has to have X, Y, and Z.
Right.
So I should make it like this, and I should do this, and I should do this, and I should do this, which means it's going to take that much more time, which ultimately what? It's saying yes to those things, and now you can't say yes to the things that are going to make a difference in your life.
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
See, Gary, am I not right?
Yes.
Okay, I pass. I can still be a son-in-law.
I one time.
That is condemnation that it brings on a person.
Yeah, and so when we do not do, are you with me? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm right here. What's up?
So when someone doesn't do what they think they should do, then they bring on their own self-condemnation.
Oh, for sure.
Because now I feel guilty. And that's the whole point of what I'm trying to say in this podcast.
Well, that was my issue many years ago. I don't know if you remember this conflict, that I said no to Tamale Day, and it got a lot of flack.
Well, you were wrong.
Well,
no, I'm totally kidding. Okay, keep going. I'm kidding.
And it wasn't. I don't even know if I said no. I just said I'm only going to be there for like an hour or two. I don't even eat tamales, but I like being a part of the whole thing. But that particular day, it's a really long story.
So wait. You should backtrack and just simply say, we are a Mexican family, and once a year, for one weekend, basically tamales are made, essentially for the year. It's like dozens of tamales are made for a really
So all
long
the
time.
women basically get together, and it's a just good time of chatting.
Which I really don't like because I like the men being a part of it too, but that's another story.
Okay, that's okay. You can have your own with your men. But anyway.
That's what he's trying to say.
But anyway, I said no to that because I had another commitment with my daughter who we had a tradition for years. But anyway, all that said, I got a little bit of flack for saying the no. And it was like, and I felt like Gary just said, so bad about it later. Like I just could not shake it. I just thought I should have just stayed then. I should have just figured out another day to go with Kylie to, whatever. And so it did bother me, but I'm in a different place now. I can say no to things or I can compartmentalize and I'm okay with the no and I'm going to move on,
Well, and I think that's probably one of the biggest issues for people in saying no is the sense of guilt and condemnation. Like, well, I'm not being a good enough mother, husband, wife, employee, or whatever. And the truth of the matter is that when we set boundaries, we're able to be the best employee. And quite frankly, if people don't appreciate boundaries, it's because they don't have them.
Exactly.
And if they don't have them, then yeah, you're going to run into trouble and you're ultimately going to experience your own guilt and condemnation. But the way we get free from that is ultimately being able to, renounce some of these things that we believe in ourselves. Like, in other words, we believe that the only way I could be a good parent is or the only way I could be a good friend or a good church member is, and we have to kind of go, wait a minute, my belief system is incorrect. I'm not thinking according to what's actually right for me,
for you,
in my circumstances, because obviously for other people it might work.
Exactly.
Maybe that's the most important thing for them. Maybe that gives them energy.
Right.
Maybe that drives them. And so, yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
And the way I think about things is that God has somebody out there for those things. And so if you're not supposed to be that person, then he's going to provide somebody else.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And if he doesn't, then he doesn't want it. It's not that you have to feel guilty about not doing it. So
I know that I'll feel at peace no matter what decision I make as far as that goes, but I feel like I have that with everything nowadays.
Yeah.
Just, feeling at peace with the decision.
Yeah. Well, I honestly think that sometimes we don't feel at peace at first.
Well, that's you. I feel at peace with my decisions.
That's because you're cold-hearted. It's called anhedonia. No, I'm kidding. But no, I'm just saying that honestly, sometimes people, when they do make decisions like this, it's especially in the beginning, it's incredible. It's hard because you kind of, you all of a sudden feel, you know what, this is going to sound funny, but people feel guilty when they don't look at their Instagram or Facebook. Like sometimes they feel like it's that fear of missing out, but it's more than that. It's kind of like something, if I don't respond, then how are people going to feel that I didn't respond and I didn't do it, and so on and so forth. And ultimately it's like no one cares, or very few. And the people that do care, they need this same podcast.
Yeah.
Because they're really hurting.
Yeah.
If they really care that much, then there's a problem.
Right. That's true. Yeah.
So
I get you.
Anywho.
Alrighty.
Well,
that was good.
Wasn't it really
it kind of overlapped with what we talked about.
I know. I didn't mean it to. Honestly, it was like we honestly, folks, we do not know what we're going to talk about. So, and this really fell into place today. Right, Iggy? I think you should stop doing this podcast, Iggy. You look really busy. I'm kidding. No, I don't. So this is one of those things that needs to be most important to you.
I can choose to say no.
Yes, there you go.
That's true.
What if he said no? What would happen?
Well, thank you, everybody, for having us. Because Valerie and I have no idea what he does.
Well, I remember when we first talked about podcasts, we thought we were going to set a phone up and we were going to do it. And
we
then
did do that.
Showed up with all this stuff and we're like,
there's equipment.
Cool. Yeah.
Microphones. That's interesting.
Yeah. Very cool. All right, you guys. Well, thank you for being here. It was fun. And yes, Thanksgiving will be over, so I hope you had a really good Thanksgiving.
Yeah, hopefully you had a really good Thanksgiving.
Yes, thank you for, not thank you. Please join us on Instagram at wholehearted_living_podcast, where we faithfully post on that thing 3 times a day. Gosh.
Yeah,
I'm so bad.
Yeah, you are bad.
It was supposed to be something we all posted on. Suddenly it was all on me. So when
it's because you're on Instagram 24/7.
No, you don't understand. When I post, I get off. I don't scroll a lot. That's my thing.
Yeah. Well.
So I gotta
Your mom.
Pop over, scroll there, or do things there. I don't know, but follow us anyway.
These are all really good words.
I know.
Thanks, Iggy, for keeping us in sound.
Yes.
Glad
And we
you're
will
with us.
see you guys next week. Okay, bye.
Ciao.